Aloha, everyone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Welcome. Today, we're making the very first drink of the season.
Oh, what's going to be our first drink?
I think it's going to be a Mai Tai.
A Mai Tai?
Yeah, we start with a Mai Tai at every bar. And if the drink's really good, well, I'm probably going to have a few. And if it's not good, I think we're moving on.
Well, like, if we're going to make a Mai Tai, we're going to have to make a classic 44 Mai Tai.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, none of that pineapple rennet stuff. You know, if you like it, it's good. But still, we're going to stick to the classic. So, to make a classic, we're just going to need some good old dark aged Jamaican rum. Of course, we gotta have some orange curacao. We gotta maybe sweeten the pot with a little bit of orgeat and simple syrup. Oh yeah, we gotta definitely raise the acidity by adding some fresh squeezed lime juice. Yeah. Oh man, I'm getting excited to drink this.
I'll get my tiki mug ready. Let me go choose one.
All right. While you get that mug, I'm gonna start shaking it up real good because dilution is key, my friend. Definitely. Oh.
I know. I love a good shake.
I know you definitely. No, but like all cocktails, we're gonna have to do a nice double strain of a fresh ice, and of course we got to accentuate a good Mai Tai with some fresh mint. You know, you got to smack that mint, get those aromas going, because legend says that we taste with our nose first. I know, science. Who would have thought? So amazing, you know. Oh, we gotta get ready right now because I am really getting ready to drink this cocktail.
And stay tuned because during this episode we're going to give you a brief history lesson on the Mai Tai.
Really? A history lesson?
Of course, a fun one.
Okay, good. Okay, so bottoms up, everybody, and it's time to tune in.
Tune in, everyone. Welcome, Tiki enthusiasts and curious minds, to the first episode of Tune In Tiki. We're your hosts, the Jersey Pineapple
and Dr. Diz.
And today we're diving deep into the world of tiki mug artistry with a spotlight on a true master of the craft. Get ready to embark on a journey through the fascinating world of VanTiki, an artist like no other.
But it's not just about the mugs themselves. It's about the stories they tell. Join us as we uncover the narratives behind VanTiki's designs.
So, whether you're a seasoned tiki veteran or someone who's just starting to explore the captivating realm of tiki culture, this episode promises to be a thrilling ride. Join us as we celebrate the artistry, creativity, and passion of VanTiki, a name bringing the spirit of the South Pacific to life one tiki mug at a time.
Welcome, Henrik. Welcome to Tune In Tiki.
Aloha, hi. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Can you take us back to the beginning of your journey making tiki mugs? What initially drew you to this unique form of art?
So I started making mugs a long time ago. It all started, I was living in Hawaii at the time, and I had just moved back to the islands. I was a special effects artist for quite a while, and I worked in LA with my partner, Denise. We missed Hawaii. That's where I grew up, in Hawaii, and my family all lived in Hawaii. So we said, you know what? We're going to escape from LA. We're going to go back to Hawaii and just enjoy life there. I thought I would be a quote-unquote real artist and try to sell artwork in galleries. I'm like, I'm going to make a go of it. We got to Hawaii, and it was kind of a nightmare as far as me being a real artist. The gallery system was a nightmare, and I just like, I just didn't want to do it. It was a different time. This is before the internet. This is, we're talking a long time ago. This is 2000. I mean, the internet was there, but it wasn't what it is now. I got a job doing animation and illustration for this educational company, and it was great. I was like, okay. It was like the dot-com boom. I was like, okay. I was working with my partner, Denise, at the same company. It was fabulous. And a couple of the employees there were super into tiki, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I had no idea. They were like, and they invited us. They're like, hey, we're going to go see an Exotica concert tonight. You want to come along? And I'm like, what is that? Is that like, are they naked? What does that mean? I had no idea what Exotica music was. I had no idea what tiki was. I mean, I had grown up in it and I was ensconced in it because I grew up in Hawaii. And it's a big part of the tourist culture out there. So anyways, we went to the concert. It was at this bar called the Hawaiian Hut. I think it's Hawaii Hut or Hawaiian Hut. I think it's the Hawaiian Hut. I still have the mug from that night. It is the last golden age, well, maybe you'd say silver age, actual tiki bar that was in Waikiki. It was like on the outskirts of Waikiki in the Ala Moana Hotel. And so it was completely decked out. They had like a stage. VanTiki was the group that played music that night. They were so good. It blew my mind. The music was incredible. The performance they did was incredible. And then now at the time, I didn't drink. I wasn't really into booze. In college, I hate beer. Just full disclosure, I just think beer is gross. No offense if you love beer, have as much beer as you want, but just don't make me drink any of it. And I didn't really care for the super sweet cocktails that they would serve in Waikiki at the time. I just wasn't into it. I ordered a Mai Tai, and it was served in the souvenir mug that you got to take home. And that mug, it just pushed a button inside of me. I love that mug because it not only did it hold a drink, and it was a tasty drink. It was an okay Mai Tai. I'm going to say it was like, well, it's not bad. But it took you away. Not only did this incredible place you were in take you away, but this mug took you away. Just by drinking it and looking at it, it took your brain to a different place. So I love that. I love that it transported you somewhere else. And then like the engineering artist nerd in me loved the challenge of how far can you push a cup into something else and still have it work as a cup. But I also want to see how far you can take it away from a cup. So I love that. So that was the thing. Literally the next morning, I called up Donna Yanoviak. She was my art teacher when I was in middle school or like in elementary school. And I knew she had a kiln in her house. And I said, Donna, can I come over to your house? I want to make a tiki mug. And that's what I did. I just started making tiki mugs at her house.
Your mugs often feature intricate and captivating designs. What sources of inspiration do you draw from when crafting these?
Excellent question. So where do I get ideas for the mugs? The ideas come from everywhere. I grew up in Hawaii. That's where I spent the majority of my formative years. On top of that, my dad owned his own company and he was an ocean engineer. So he would go diving in research submarines. And he and my mom had just moved to the islands the year before I was born. So they were into it. They were into Hawaii. We traveled throughout all the islands. I saw every nook and cranny of Hawaii, which is unique because it's difficult to travel in Hawaii. People sometimes think when you live in Hawaii that you can just, I'm going to go to Maui tomorrow, but it's not that easy. It's expensive. You got to get on a plane, blah, 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 blah. So I feel very fortunate that my parents were really into just exploring and sucking up that culture and environment. So that was super cool. So definitely the ocean is big. Nature is big for me. My dad being an engineer, like I like the technology. I like stuff like that. My brother is an archaeologist and an anthropologist, so he is super into the culture and finding ancient relics. He's got a gift for it, so that also is something that I love to draw from. So those are kind of like that's like my little starting kit, like in my pantry of mug ideas. And then I just try to have my eyes open to something that would make a neat vessel. That's where it comes down to. And I usually will get my best ideas for mugs when I'm running. Like I'll go out running. Like it's like the time when I can turn my brain off. Like I think for me, running is like very meditative. I'll go out there for like an hour and I won't think of anything. And then I'll be like, oh, I think it'd be cool to do like a hornbill, but it's like a skull. And you can drink from it. Yeah. And then I'll stop and like take my phone out and sort of write it down on my phone so I don't forget it by the time I get home. So that's kind of like my little mug idea starter kit. And I do have a list on my phone of mug ideas. And so anytime I have a mug idea and also I should say really quick that my partner Denise is also a excellent source for mug ideas. She comes up with a lot of the good ones, if not most of the good ones. So we'll come up with ideas and we add them to our list. And then we're constantly shuffling the list of like, well, what mug is next? And like we'll fall in love with another mug. And so it moves around. The list evolves. It's an evolving list.
Could you walk us through the creative process when it comes to designing, sculpting a new tiki mug?
Totally.
How do you approach the turning of an idea of a tangible piece into art?
That's a great question. So how do you go from my little list of mug ideas on my phone to an actual mug in the hand? So first thing we do is pick an idea, which can be difficult. You got to like figure it out. And I like to balance, like I'll do like, if I'm doing a cute mug, maybe I want to do the next mug is a spooky mug, or maybe the next mug I do is a historical mug. I like to just have a variety. It keeps us interested in the work that we do. I like to keep it fresh, not only for people that are collecting, but for us making them. So for example, let's talk about, I'm looking at the mugs that are drying on the shelf right there. So I'm like, all right, let's say the porcelain pounder. So that's a mug that we just finished. So, okay, porcelain pounder. So this is, it's freshly cast, it's just drying. So this mug is based on a poi pounder. It's a Polynesian tool. It's used all throughout Polynesia. I think it's pretty neat. It's a ubiquitous tool that's used in Hawaii and Fiji and Samoa, all throughout the Pacific, and it's used to mash taro root. It's like the potato of the Pacific into poi, and if you hold it in the hand like this, and you just mash the stuff. I love this shape. It's a cool form. I thought a few years back, I think I did the first pounder mug, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, this would be an incredible drinking vessel. I just love the shape. But actual poi pounders have a slightly more tapered neck. I did a lot of drawing. I'm like, how can I make this into a functional vessel? That's the thing I was talking about earlier. Of like, how far can you push a cup, but you still got to be able to drink out of it? So that was the challenge with the pounder. Now, this is like the 4th pounder design I've done. And I think it's my favorite one because I think it's the most functional and the most true to the pounder shape. And then to make it super cool, I of course put a face on it because I think it's neat. And so I wanted to put a playful, fun face on this one because the mug that we did previous to this was the hornbill skull, which is kind of spooky, not really spooky, but a little, skull. It's like, let's make this a fun, playful design. So what we did, so I drew it on paper, and then you have to figure out size. So I sketch it out, I design it, I draw it, and then we print it out in a bunch of different sizes. And we cut out those paper printouts, and we hold them. We're like, well, does this feel like it would feel good in a hand? I don't know. And so I put them out, Denise and I look at them, and we set them all out, and then we pick which one we think will work best. And then you got to calculate, okay, the clay shrinks a lot. This stuff shrinks 12% from when you have the original one down to the finished one. So then you have to blow your design up. And that's like the master drawing that I have. From there, it's time to jump into armatures and clay. So I'll build like a little form that'll live inside of my original sculpture. And that kind of holds the clay because clay is soft and it mushes around. So that's like a skeleton for the clay. Pack all the clay on there, you sculpt it, you spend as much time as it takes to sculpt it. And then molding. And this gets really technical. I do have a Tiki Technical Tuesday episode if you want to watch my YouTube, but it's a long process. It's deceptively long. The one thing I will say is it takes a long time. I don't think that people understand how long the process takes. And it's not just my physical time of drawing and sculpting. There's a lot of what I would call chemical time where you've got to wait for things to dry. Like when I pour this, it's got to sit there for several days before I can fire it. Firing it takes time. It takes about 3 days for the kiln to get, if I really push it, I can do it in 2, but the kiln takes a day to get hot and a day to get cool. So there's a lot of just time for chemical process in between that can really make this whole thing stretch out. So we'll get like emails from bars like, hey, I'm opening up a new bar next month. Could we get a mug for the opening? It gives you like a month and a half. Could you do that? I'm like, nobody can do that. It's impossible. So yeah, it takes time.
A blue Hawaiian. The Mai Tai. Citrusy, boozy, and oh so refreshing. Trader Vic's 1944 classic originating from Oakland, California. Legend told that is almost like it's written from fantastic history. Vic himself being known as being a embellisher, storyteller of sorts. Somehow bored of the cocktail scene and wanting to make something different from your traditional Manhattans, daiquiris, and so on, he decided to play a little chef in the kitchen. So that fateful day, he decided to grab a 17-year-old Jamaican rum, decided to grab a little bit of orgeat, almond syrup, a little bit of rock candy, or as we say, simple syrup, mixed with fresh lime juices and orange curacao, and somehow developed this wonderful citrus cocktail. And by mixing them together and complementing them with some fresh aromatics of mint, he made the Mai Tai. Now, where does this name come from? Well, legend says that when he presented them to his friends from Tahiti, when they grabbed that initial sip, their first reaction, out of a movie, they exclaimed, Mai Tai Roa'ae, which means outstanding, out of this world, oh so good. And from there on, the Mai Tai was born.
This is something I really wanted to touch into because I feel that your work seems to bridge the gap between traditional tiki art and contemporary interpretations. So how do you balance honoring the history while injecting your personal artistic vision?
When I started, I was making a lot of mugs that were very different than the quote unquote like golden age tiki mugs. And some people would get very upset about it, and they would let me know, like, that's not a tiki mug, that's not proper. It didn't stop me from making them, and people still bought them, and people still enjoyed them. And I think I learned right off the bat that I'm not ever going to make everybody happy in this. I think that for me, the core purpose of a quote unquote tiki mug is escapism. It is taking you somewhere else. And that place doesn't have to necessarily be Polynesia. It's just taking you away. So maybe it's a robot. I mean, there's Star Wars tiki mugs right now, and people get very upset about that. I think it's fine. It's a mug that's making people happy and taking them away from their taxes or whatever nightmarish thing they're stuck doing that at that time. So I don't like to. I don't want to put up any walls in that sense. Researching the newest mug that we're working on right now, I was looking into these things called face jugs, which are when people would take back in the day, like stoneware pottery, like the classic whiskey jug that you'll see people drinking out of. That was the way that fluids were moved throughout America, 1700 to 1900. That was the way. If it wasn't in a wooden barrel, it was in one of those stoneware jugs. And at the factories, I mean, they're still made by people. When they were making those jugs, some people would take the jug while it was still wet and they'd sculpt a face on it. And those became these face jugs. And it's this like unique American thing. And I'm like, that's not necessarily a tiki mug, but it's still somebody taking something, a ceramic functional object, and pushing it just a little bit to take it outside of the norm, to make people take a second glance at it, to make people drink out of it and think of something else besides what is happening right now. So I think that's what I love about the tiki mugs. And now I've lost the train of the question because I'm just spouting off on how much I love making mugs. But I don't. I guess what I'm saying is I don't. As far as honoring what the golden age tiki mugs do, I think it's just important to look at them and say those mugs were escapism. They were trying to take you out of your daily toils, and that's what I definitely try to do with my mugs. And some people say that for a tiki mug to be a tiki mug, it has to have a tiki on it, and I don't argue with that. And sometimes I think, well, maybe I don't make tiki mugs. Maybe I make exotica mugs or escapism mugs or whatnot. I'll let collectors argue over semantics and what to call them and stuff like that. I just like to make them.
So these mugs are more than just vessels. They often carry stories and evoke emotions. Are there any specific stories or themes you've aimed to convey through your designs?
Definitely. So a theme that I love through my designs is adventure. Like, I love the idea of adventure. Growing up in Hawaii, we had a lot of adventures as a child. My dad would take us out on the ocean a lot. I loved it. And I loved fantasy and adventure films growing up. Specifically like Jules Verne films. I loved 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and its sequel, Mysterious Island. So that would take me to the giant crab claw mug that I did. And this is a great example of me combining a lot of things into one mug and then really pushing that shape past what I think a quote unquote functional mug would be. So, like I said, my dad, ocean engineer. I love the ocean. His office was out on a little pier in Waimanalo on Oahu. For Magnum PI nerds, his office was TC's office in the original Magnum PI show. But he was out on a pier with this breakwater. And as a kid, I used to crawl all over that pier. And there were these crabs called ama crabs, and they would shed their skin. You know, they're like, they would molt, I guess, as they grew, and they would leave like a little perfect hollow crab there. So I would take that with my G.I. Joe figures, and they would battle the giant crabs. It was awesome, just like the giant crabs in Mysterious Island. So when I grew up, I decided I wanted to make a claw, a giant crab claw mug. Now, this is a juvenile giant crab claw because I love to come up with a story behind all of my mugs. An actual full-size giant crab, you don't want to mess with that. But juvenile ones you can catch and you can eat the crab claws. And then the shells make a great beverage container. And I thought that it would be cool. I call these challenge mugs because the challenge is you have to drink the whole drink before you can put it back down. Because you drink it like this, but you can't, of course, put it down until it's empty, and then you can put it down. But yeah, that's kind of an idea of where I took a lot of different strains from like my childhood, things that I love, and then the spirit and feel that I want my mugs to have, and made a mug out of it.
So I know that tiki art often encapsulates a sense of relaxation or vacation. You perfectly, eloquently said it, escapism. How do you hope your creations impact people's lives and environments?
How do I hope my work impacts people's lives? I just hope it makes them happy. I am a collector. I love to collect stuff. I am a sucker for a collect 'em all kind of mentality. I love Japanese capsule toys, the gachapon. I love those things. Denise, my partner, can attest that when we lived in Japan, I would pump ungodly amounts of money into a little gumball machine trying to get the one little prize that I wanted. And I know that collecting tiki mugs can be like that for people. So it gives me joy if I'm giving somebody something different to put in their collection. Like I love for my mugs to stand out, to maybe have a different silhouette. Maybe one of my mugs hangs on a wall and their other mugs don't do that. I just love that. I love the idea that someone is getting joy out of something that I make. A lot of times I would wrestle with, am I a real artist because I don't make serious things, or, but I guess I am a real artist. I don't know. It's weird. I guess as I get older and make stuff, I realize it's okay for an artist to just make work to give people joy. And I don't have to, save the world through, well, I guess I'm saving the world with joy, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's what my goal is with the work that I do, for sure.
All right, everybody, we want to thank you all for joining us at Tune In Tiki. Of course, we have to give our thanks to the wonderful VanTiki for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be here, and I had a blast.
We love you. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our very first episode of Tune In Tiki. We are so excited to show you what we have in store for this season, so stay tuned. Aloha, listeners.
Please check out our Patreon, the 1944 Society.
What's that?
Well, Christina, if you know, you know.
Subscribe for more, everyone. Patreon.com/TuneInTiki.